Hello there, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Here we do tarot readings for the collective, and today's reading is going to be a pick a card reading, which is always a lot of fun for me. I have 3 different decks laid out before me, and I'm actually not going to have you choose one of the decks. I'm going to have you choose a stone, and each one is going to correspond to one of those decks, and then it'll be a surprise which deck you end up with. So I will show you all 3 decks. They won't be in order, but number 1 is going to be the Somnia Tarot deck. This one is, it's just so dreamy, and the imagery is almost a little bit unsettling sometimes, but I actually have found it to be an incredibly gentle deck to work with. Next, we have the Japaridze tarot deck. This one is by a fine artist called Nino Japaridze. I'm probably not pronouncing that very well, but the artwork in this is stunning and very varied style-wise. It's not all in one particular style. And lastly, we will be working as well with the Witch's Wisdom Tarot deck, which, if you've been watching my videos recently, you'll know that I am super in love with it. It's very different from a lot of the Rider-Waite-Smith inspired decks. It really takes the tarot in a different direction. The major arcana is quite different, and the meanings of a lot of the minors have been changed as well. So those are the 3 decks that we'll be working with, and the way this is going to work is I'm going to show you 3 stones, and you will pick one of them, and then you can look in the description box below to find out which deck is associated with which stone, and also what time to look for your reading. So stone number 1 is going to be this gorgeous flower agate. I picked some really gentle stones today, sort of what I was feeling. This one is just like, it's like the little kiss of flower petals on your cheek. It's just lovely and gentle and balancing. Agates have a very balancing quality to them, and it's just a very, I think of flower petals turned upwards to the sun with this one. And stone number 2 is this black Moonstone. Unfortunately, I doubt the flash is going to come out in this lighting. Oh, there's a little bit there in the corner. This one is, I love to work with it during new moon energy. It's really deeply connects to the intuition and can help us with rest, with release, with inviting in all of the wonderful things that the new moon can bring to us. You can also work with this stone for that too. And lastly, we have green moonstone, also known as garnierite. And this green stones connect to the heart chakra, to abundance, and I really, really find this stone to be helpful with connecting us to the intuition of our heart, listening to our heart's guidance. And that's the last stone, green moonstone, also very beautiful. And this one doesn't have flashes so much as the black moonstone does, but it is so gentle, and just it really feels like I like to lie down and have it on my heart, and it just feels like such a balm. So I'll let you take a moment and decide which stone appeals to you, and then in the description box below you will be able to find the timestamp for your reading. I always do sort of feel like you can watch all of them if you want to. You might get it might explore two or three different areas that you're curious about. So please feel free if that does resonate with you, or choose one and go with that. So I'm going to set our space with this dragon's blood spray, as I've done in the last few videos. And after that, I'm going to light a candle and set an intention for this session. I do invite you to stick around for that part, but if you really want to get to the tarot, this will have happened anyway, so you can just jump ahead if you're really excited to get to your reading. I hope you do stick around though. And now we're going to light our candle and set our intention for this session. Got the trusty matches. See, there we go. So if you'd like to join me in putting a hand over the heart and closing your eyes. We'll take a couple of nice deep breaths to tune in. On behalf of your highest and greatest well-being and my own, and the highest and greatest well-being of all, we call upon sacred, benevolent guidance within us and without that is in perfect alignment for this reading. Magic of feather, song, and air, awaken, inspire, and make aware. Magic of claw, hearth, and fire, warm, enliven, and inspire. Magic of fin, womb, and water, love stir, and dreams conjure. Magic of fur, seed, and earth, embody, nourish, and give birth. Magic within and around, awaken, spirit's answers, and guidance taken. Okay, now it's time to get into the cards. If you chose stone number 1, the flower agate, then we are going to be reading for you today from the Agate Tarot. By Nino Agate. I didn't have a particular spread in mind for this reading. I wanted to just pull a few cards and see what comes up. So I do have a couple questions. We're just going to ask, number 1, what conversation wants to happen today with the cards? And we will also ask, why does this conversation want to happen now? What might be the possible fruit that this conversation bears? So, we'll give the cards a little more of a shuffle, and start to pull. So, card number 1, what conversation wants to happen with the tarot today? Why are we being invited to have this conversation? So, our first card is the Magician. Ooh, I love this card, and I really love this particular version of it. This artwork is gorgeous. And card number 2, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, this is very interesting because these are rather, not opposite, but very different energies. And yet, I can see a conversation starting to happen here. So, the Magician is about remembering our power. The Magician is about finding the confidence, remembering that we have everything that we need in order to direct our will in the direction that it wants to go. The Magician is a creator. The Magician is a channeler. They take what is above and they manifest it here below. And I'm wondering if we have forgotten our magician-ness, as it were. I wonder if we are feeling like we have no agency in our lives. In the Wheel of Fortune, it can often feel like the wheel is spinning completely out of our control and that we are barely along for the ride. Maybe it even feels like we've been tossed off of it and everyone else is moving forward while we're left stuck and stagnant. The conversation that wants to happen today is about balance, because the magician is a force of agency in their own life, and the wheel reminds us that there is so much that is out of our control. So, how can we use the Wheel of Fortune to recognize that that which is in our control or within our agency to affect, and that which is not? And then we might be able to find ourselves riding the wheel of life from an empowered position, no matter where it takes us, even if where it takes us, and it probably will, is nowhere near what we had planned. If we can ride the wheel in alignment, we will find ourselves where we are meant to be. So, I'm going to pull it's just begun raining. I'm not sure if you can hear that. I hope you can. It's raining pretty hard. So I think next I'm going to pull a card asking, what does the magician want us to know at this time? And then I may pull another card for how we can harmonize and integrate these two different energies. How can the magician get us to the Wheel of Fortune? And what the magician wants us to know at this time is the Four of Gardens. Are we trying to control versus trying to create? Creation is a rhythm. There's a give and take. There's inspiration, channeling, and what we've channeled. And then after that, there is refinement and more inspiration. And through this process, we learn, we are almost shown what it is that we are creating. Because anything that we create, it's of us, but it isn't us. And you can think of it, the easy example would be having a child. Yes, you made that child, but it has a life, a spirit, an energy of its own. So, if you are trying to micromanage every aspect of the creation process, you're not giving it the space it needs to bloom. Let creation be a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more reciprocal, and create space to be surprised, to be in wonder of what has come from you and yet is not you. Now I'm going to pull one more card that can help us to loosen up a little bit, to find a way to let go of the need to control and micromanage what it is that we want to create for ourselves and for others. The card that can balance the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician. And that card is the Stranger of Winds. The stranger of winds is a seeker of truth. And this card is asking you to stop worrying so much about whether what you are trying to create, to channel down, to manifest is viable or not. Of course, there are practical things that we absolutely must pay attention to. But first and foremost, whatever it is that the magician is calling you to create, let it be truthful. Let it be honest. Let it be authentic. Concentrate on creating that which expresses your inner truth, that which expresses the truth of your soul. That is the flow from which you can let go of trying to control every minute detail. That is the flow from which whatever it is again that you are looking to create can be its most powerful version of what it is trying to be, of what you are trying to make it. That is where you have agency in this equation. That is where the wheel could use a little help moving forward. Everything else, if you can, find a way to surrender it. Find a way to let go and trust. Okay. That was your reading, dear hearts, and I hope it was a useful, informative one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will pigeon in just a little bit of a please do like, comment, and subscribe, and also check out my website, as readings are currently 20% off until October 12th, and that will be linked in the description box below. Thank you again for watching, and good night. Hello there. If you chose the black Moonstone, then your reading is going to be with the Somnia Tarot by Nicholas Bruno. And let's get started. So, as I did for the reading before, I don't have a particular topic planned out for this reading. We're simply going to ask the cards what they would like to talk about today. So I will pull one card for the conversation that wants to happen, and another card for why that conversation wants to happen. What might we gain from having this conversation? I think that's card number 1 and card number 2. So the card that wants to kick off this conversation is the High Priestess. And it's very interesting that we've pulled this card because we pulled the Magician for the previous reading, and I view these two cards very much as two halves of a whole. Now let's take a look and for why we're being invited to have a conversation about the High Priestess. We have the Two of Wands, and both of these cards are a little bit about being in a more non-active, reflective state. Although maybe it makes more sense to say that they are calling us to make great change, but more through pausing and reflecting and non-doing. So the High Priestess is a traveler between worlds. They are able to travel between here and what we could think of as the underworld, or we could call it the unconscious. But either way, whatever words make the most sense to you, they are able to travel deep within to that space within us that we are not consciously aware of. And through learning about what lies within us, they are able to bring back to the surface deep knowledge and wisdom. Now I have to acknowledge that sometimes what we find there can be trauma, and if that's the case for you, this journey does not need to be taken alone. Even if it isn't trauma, investigating deep within ourselves can be tricky, and if we can call in aid, whether that's a friend you can talk things through with, or if it's available to you, a therapist or something similar, maybe even a tarot reader, but I wouldn't make that my only stop. Either way, the High Priestess is calling you right now. There is something unresolved within you that wants to be resolved, and that wants to show you a path forward, because the Two of Wands, here we see a figure. It looks like very early dawn, and they are holding up a candle to the new day. The Two of Wands asks us to find balance before we make a move. And in this particular case, that balance is an understanding of where we want to move. What do we truly desire? What are we hoping for? It's not a guarantee that we'll get absolutely everything, or that we may even know what is best for us, but this card does ask us to have as clear a vision as we can of what it is we want to create, what it is we want to see happen in our lives. So the High Priestess is going to clarify that for us, is going to show us our deepest motivations, our deepest motivations both in a positive and a negative sense. Sometimes we are motivated by something we truly desire, and sometimes we are motivated by fears and doubts and valid feelings that we may not want to be acting from. So I'm going to ask, what does the High Priestess want to show us about ourselves? What can help to clarify our true desires? And that card is the Eight of Wands. It's interesting, I did a reading, I think 2 or 3 videos ago, about feeling unsupported. And the Eight of Wands is very much a card of support. It tells us that we are in a time of great movement. We are trying to make something happen. And the energy is very much with us, not against us. It's not a guarantee that things will turn out exactly the way we're hoping, but it is an acknowledgement that we are on the right path, that what we are trying to make happen is desired for us, and that there is help available should we accept it. Now, if you're anything like me, something deep within me is saying, that's bullshit. No one's helping me. Nothing is helping me. I am completely on my own. And to think otherwise might very well be delusional. The High Priestess wants to ask you, to ask us, where does that feeling come from? Is it perhaps a belief that you have acquired through experience? Has it felt before like you were desiring something so much and you couldn't make it happen and you felt abandoned? Those feelings are completely valid, and it can be hard to believe that something out there truly has our best interests at heart. So ask yourself, what is my reason for believing that I'm on my own? That anything I want to make happen, I'll have to do it all on my own juice. And if you can be honest with yourself and find the reason, you might be able to create a little bit of space, just a little, for some faith or trust, or even an openness to believing something different. Even if it's just a maybe I could see how I'm not on my own. Maybe I could open a doorway to a little tiny iota of trust. That is all the High Priestess is asking of you. And through that, you might be able to find a clearer picture of what it is that you are truly desiring from whatever experience it is that you wish to bring into your life. Okay, that is reading number 2. I very, very much hope that it was useful or even just gave you something to think about, or that it put you to sleep. And just very quickly, I will ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. And just a very quick reminder that tarot readings are on sale until October 12th, and my website will be linked in the description box below. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching. Good night. For our last reading, if you chose the green Moonstone, this one's for you. And we will be reading with the Witch's Wisdom Tarot deck. So, as I've done with the other 2 readings, I didn't have a particular spread or topic in mind. I just thought we could ask the cards what they want to talk about today. And so we're going to be asking 2 questions. What conversation wants to happen? And why are we being invited to have that conversation? So, card number 1 and card number 2. The conversation that wants to take place today is the craftsman of earth. And why we are being invited to have this conversation is initiation. Well, isn't that interesting? During the last reading, we pulled the High Priestess, and I find these to be very similar energies. If I'm remembering correctly, I also pulled this card in a recent reading. So, I'm feeling compelled to ask a very specific question, and I am aware that this may not resonate for absolutely everyone, so if it doesn't, this is a collective reading, and I'll ask you to bear that in mind. But how are you doing with your climate grief? The earth the lands that you live on, the immediate ones, even if you're in a city, are calling to you to connect with them. They are alive. They have a spirit and great wisdom. The craftsman of earth has shown mastery. You are not a beginner, but you may not be fully initiated yet. This card is telling me that, as I said, you're being called to connect more deeply with the land that is immediately around you, even if it's under concrete. There are still patches of grass. I hope there are still trees. And we can even connect with that has been buried. But this call is a call of awakening. This call is a call of initiation. Spend time in nature, connecting, but don't stop there. Are there community gardening projects nearby that you could give your time and energy to? Do you have your own patch of earth by wherever it is that you live? An apartment, a house. Bring it offerings. Ask it for wisdom, because you are being awakened as a defender of the land. And this seems like a pretty tall order, and you might be thinking, I am one person. What could I possibly do? And it's true. There are huge systemic causes for why the earth is dying. And the collective will has not been terribly useful in stopping or slowing the destruction that we are reaping on this earth. But this earth is our home. It is the land that our children will grow up on, should we choose to have them or have them now. It is the land that children will grow up on, even if they aren't our own. And Mother Earth is calling out to those who can help her. She is initiating them One of the things that the creator of this deck says often in the guidebook is the world needs its witches, and you don't have to identify as a witch for this to apply to you. But you are a magical creature. You do have the power to make a difference, even if it is just a small one. If all of us chose to make one small step, then we might see some real change happening. And that can start with you. So I'm going to pull one more card, and we're going to ask, what does the craftsman of earth most want us to know at this time? We have the star. Your purpose is your way forward. Recognizing that you have one is the first step. What are your unique talents? Doesn't matter if you think someone else is better at it than you are. We all have gifts that we can strengthen if need be. Let the star be your guide. Focus on the goal and don't worry too much about how to get there. Let it lead you. Let it whisper to you about the unique contribution that only you can make. What are your interests? What are your passions? Allow them to guide how you want to go about defending the lands that nourish and house you. The lands on which your four walls and your roof stand, or maybe your trailer, your car, whatever it is that you call home. It is built on land. Find a body of water and connect with it. And remember that as you are being called, so you are being supported. You are not in this alone. There are spirits, there are energies, and there are people who desire the same thing as you. How can you connect with community and with guidance? Again, I'm very much seeing find a way to connect with water. It will help boost your intuition. And it is your intuition that wants to guide you. It is your intuition that knows which way is north. And even if it's a long, meandering path to get there, it will always have that orientation. And through this work, you may find your grief becomes a little more bearable. You may find your grief is healed just enough to help you to move forward and not to hold you back. Grief can be a powerful motivator. If we can tap into the desire to see things differently, the desire to see change. So that was the final reading, and I do hope you can take something from it. I hope I wasn't projecting too much of my own stuff on there. Thank you so much for watching, and I very much hope that you will like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to put out 2 readings a week. There will always be at least 1 and 2 when I can manage. And just quickly, until October 12th, readings are 20% off, and you can book through my website and just let me know that you found me through this channel. I think that's it. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for watching, and I hope you have an amazing night.